Hey, fake friends. Listen to Fake Headlines podcast using Stitcher Premium.
Use promo code FAKEHEADLINES for 1 free month.
Listen to some of your favorite shows ad-free with Stitcher Premium like
Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend,
My Favorite Murder,
Having Funlessness with Jen Kirkman,
Natch Butte,
Office Ladies,
Prompt and Circumstance,
WTF with Mark Maron,
and so many more.
Plus, you get access to Stitcher Originals, bonus episodes, comedy albums, and more.
Only $4.99 a month or $34.99 for a whole year.
Go to Stitcher.com/premium to sign up today.
Again, use promo code FAKEHEADLINES for 1 month free. Bye! Hello, I'm Tiffany Dillon.
And I'm Kevin Dillon.
And this is Fake Headlines Podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Fake Headlines Podcast, episode number 91.
Hello, welcome.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, sorry we're late.
We had a little bit of a vacation recently, so we were out of town.
Yeah, for like half a week.
Half a week, which during quarantine feels like a month. It really felt like a month.
Yeah, it felt like
time.
we were out of our house. We were
That's true.
out of our zip code.
It was nice to get out of the house for a little bit.
Oh, so nice. We went and we visited my dad.
Yeah, and I mean, I love our house, but we spend most of our time inside due to the pandemic. And it was really nice to go visit my father-in-law and hang out and go outside, spend time in nature.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time in nature, outside, in the sunshine. It was beautiful weather for most of the time. There was one day where it rained real hard. And we were in the middle of eating, so that was fun.
Yes, nothing like a panicked gathering of food as the rain and hail starts coming down.
I should state we were eating outside, not inside. Otherwise, it wouldn't make a difference. we were having a little bit of a barbecue.
Tiffany comes from a very panicky family, so even indoors, we would all go under the table. It's raining outside. Get the tarp.
My dad had a dog that she was like a border collie, so she was a bigger dog, but she every time it thundered outside, she would try to hide behind the toilet. And there's not a lot of space there, and so it was just like her head behind the toilet. I was like, that's your safe place? A bowl full of fecal matter?
We had
we
had a dog that when that would happen would take the top of the tank off and just go right in the little top water.
That's nice.
It was a tiny dog. But,
yeah. I imagine it was. I imagine like a tiny chihuahua.
It was an upper dachshund.
With like floaties on. It was an upper dachshund. Aww.
Yeah, that's a weird place to find comfort in behind the toilet.
Yeah.
Sometimes you find comfort on the toilet, but not so much behind the toilet.
Okay. Yeah, so we had a nice time being out of town and being outside and, of course, hanging out with my dad, who can now hear our show. So we have to clean up our act.
Yeah.
So sorry, Dad, for all of these swears and inappropriate things you hear us say.
I just want to say that it's all Tiffany's imagination that comes up with all the stuff. I have nothing to do with it.
So, Dad, really, I get it from you. We're looking to place the blame.
Yeah, we set up Tiffany's dad with my father-in-law with a device so we can listen to our show and do some interneting up there, and it's very exciting.
Yeah. So right now we are on our last evening of our vacation, and it's a real bum, and but we slept until noon today and didn't actually roll out of bed until 1. So
it's been a great day.
It's been a great, relaxing day.
But if you sense a little underlying malaise, a little underlying sadness to the show tonight, it's because we know we have to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not okay with that.
But anyway, we're going to have some fun in the meantime.
We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about some silly things.
Forget about that nonsense.
And you guys probably won't hear this until Monday the 6th, right? Is that what the day is?
Something like that. I don't even know what it
Monday
is anymore.
Monday the 6th.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So by the time you have heard this, we've already had a terrible day at work.
Isn't that cool? So when you're done listening, just send us a message and be like, guys, you made it. You made it through your first day back.
We need it. We're going to need the re-encouragement or whatever. Encouragement.
Yeah. Also re-encouragement. the reinforcement of encouragement is always appreciated. So thank you.
That is true. Well, folks, this is a Fake Headlines podcast. What we've done is we have spent some time individually and independently scouring the internet for a strange headline that tickled our fancy. And then we came up with 2 on our own, and we will now present each other with said headlines, and we'll try to guess which headline and which story is an actual real story.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
That pretty much sums it. And I believe, Tiffany, you're going first this week.
I am.
So I'm going to get my notepad ready here, and when you have a chance, hit me with those headlines.
All right, I have the chance.
Okay, good. Perfect.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Headline number 1. Barcelona Opera reopens with an audience of plants. Barcelona Opera reopens with an audience of plants.
Audience of plants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Headline number 2. French chef combats restaurant closure by creating gourmet food kit.
French chef
combats restaurant closure by creating gourmet food kit.
Gourmet food kits. Okay.
And headline number 3. Nearsighted Grandpappy calls authorities upon seeing a crowd of faces in the sky.
Oh, my.
Nearsighted Grandpappy calls authorities upon seeing crowd of faces in the sky.
Okay.
Yep.
Crowd of faces in the sky. It sounds like a song from the 60s.
Yeah.
Well, these are some interesting headlines here, Tiff.
Thank you.
So headline number 1, Barcelona Opera opens with an audience of plants.
Uh-huh.
Now, let me clarify this, Tiffany. You mean an audience of like household plants, not an audience of people planted in the audience, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I suppose it's open to interpretation.
I was thinking of it being some kind of like Andy Kaufman thing where there's characters in the crowd that they call upon and they're causing interference and just doing general wacky things.
Or a bunch of like mannequins.
Yes, that would be, that'd be kind of weird.
That would be very creepy.
I feel like that's an episode of Criminal Minds we saw where a guy set up like a
Oh, it was.
a theater with like...
Yeah, but to him it was real because he was trying to stop a murder.
By murdering.
By sort of murdering?
Yeah.
Capturing.
Well, capturing and torturing.
Yeah, inadvertently.
Yeah, he didn't know any better.
Criminal Minds, you guys. What a show,
boy.
right?
Check it out on Netflix right now. Use offer code Fake Headlines for nothing. We will get you nothing with Netflix.
Yeah. So
interesting. So I like this idea of so we're kind of in this new phase now where concerts are starting to maybe happen again. But what do you do with the audience? Can you really? Is it safe to be near people, strangers?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I
mean, I remember last year we went. Well, it's been over a year now. We went and saw Cher, and there were thousands and thousands of people there.
Mm-hmm.
When's the next time that something like that can happen safely? Again?
I don't know. It seems like it's so far off in the future.
But I will tell you, I would like to be amongst plants at a show. Just me and some plants.
Yeah.
And not people.
Okay. You mean like a person... plant person?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I think that's how it needs to be set up.
I think it might be important that you take your allergy medicine first.
This is very true.
Because no one wants to be around the guy who's allergic to everything.
Oh, and that's me. And
that's you.
I'm going to ruin someone's concert experience.
Yeah, with your constant sneezing, sniffling, and coughing.
And my constant trying to get them to crowd surf me. It's not that kind of show.
I know. Leaves are only so strong.
I think we're going to see more stuff like, because it does seem weird. Like, it seems weird to have like an audience-less event. Like, that seems weird. Mm-hmm. Like, the only thing and I haven't spent much time watching it, but I have come across professional wrestling on television recently, and there is no audience, and it does seem very bizarre.
Yeah.
And I think that when real sports come back, people are going to be like, oh, this is kind of weird without there being people in the audience.
Right. I think you can relate to this as someone who does stand up, as I can relate to it as someone who's been on stage performing, that there is a feeling that you get. It doesn't matter what you're performing. Like, you know, I've been on stage performing in a band before, but I've also primarily been on stage for theater. And you receive a lot of feedback. You as a comedian would receive a lot of feedback of laughter from the audience, and you can...
A lot of laughter, guys.
A lot of laughter.
Just an unbelievable amount of laughter.
And whether it's silent or not, you can feel that energy. Like, that's just something you can just sense that there are people there, and there's a certain energy that they give off because you know that they're enjoying what they're seeing, hopefully. And so to perform to an empty place, I'm sure maybe it helps to have the plants there in terms of like sound.
No, that could be
so
too.
It doesn't feel so empty.
Feels like so echoey, maybe.
Yeah.
I also just imagine like a geranium on the shoulders of somebody, like lifting up their top to the opera singer.
Yeah.
Exposing their leaves. Ooh, yoo-hoo, opera man.
Wow, that's a full blossom.
A full blossom.
Check out the tulips over there, huh?
Oh, hey. I wish I knew more plant terms. Like to plant my roots in that stem flower. That didn't make any sense.
Oh, wow. Would you look at the lilies on that one? Pedal along, fellas.
Oh,
pedal along.
Nicely done.
I'll just leave you with that one.
Oh, man. You got a million of them. You're really good. You know I love a good pun. You just you slayed me there.
So stupid.
Also, plants are probably a good place for, because don't plants like and react well to like classical music or like opera music?
Yeah.
They seem to react well to sounds like that.
I think we kind of talked about something similar to this. We had a real headline that had to do with like cheese and the classical music there, but maybe plants react to a similar sort of thing where certain sounds are pleasing to them, to help them grow, and like sound can be as important as the sun in its photosynthesis stages are. Maybe the sounds, maybe the certain musical sounds remind the plant of its mother, and they help it nurture and grow it. I'm sure that's it.
Yeah, that might be.
Yeah.
I don't know much about plants. I'm going to be honest with you, Tiff.
Yeah.
But
it all starts with a bulb and a dream. Sometimes a seed and a seedling. It's beautiful. Deep down in that soil. Wow. Water.
It was like you were doing like a weird poem about plants. It was really good.
That was it, yeah.
There's some freestyle jazz. Water. Yeah. I do remember that story about the cheese. Like the guy played different types of music.
Yeah.
And like for some reason I remember like a Tribe Called Quest yielded a good cheese result for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know why that particular, maybe it had to do with the beat or something maybe.
Yeah.
But I think plants like to hear sounds. I think it just helps them. I don't know why, but it does seem to have a positive effect on their growth. Maybe
it's any living organism.
Yeah, that could be.
Kind of like the stuff in Ghostbusters. Remember, it's in the toaster, and like they start playing music, and then it starts bouncing around.
The ectoplasm.
Yeah. I couldn't think of the word. Yeah.
You're right. I think living organisms do react to other stimuli of some kind. Mm-hmm.
You don't need to have ears to hear music. It might be just like the
like the vibrations.
Sound, maybe? The sound elements. Vibrations. That's a good way to waves. That's the word.
Yeah, like a plant doesn't have ears, right?
No.
Mm-mm. No. So it wouldn't be hearing and interpreting sound in the way that we would hear and interpret sound. But there's definitely some kind of But like you said, maybe it's some kind of a vibration, or like the sound wave maybe mixes up something in them. Like it mixes up me when I get on the dance floor.
Oh, woo, woo, woo. Tap
Can't
those
stop his
toes.
feet.
Yeah.
Oh, I got geranium toes. But
tiptoe through the tulips with your geranium toes.
But yeah, I don't think, and like you were mentioning earlier too about performers, like musicians too rely on some kind of an energy from the audience to kind of fuel the performance a little bit too. So without that, and it's just kind of an empty situation, that's also got to be kind of unsatisfying as a performer as well.
But with having plants in the audience, I'm sure it reverberates sound maybe somewhat in a similar way as it would if it was people in the audience. So maybe like the sound travels in a similar way and then bounces back to the musicians. So then they feel like,
right,
they have an actual audience.
Feel like something is there. I was thinking too as we were talking, I remember seeing something about a concert, some story about a concert this week, and I think it was Garth Brooks maybe is doing like a quote unquote concert, but it's like you go to a drive-in and watch him perform somewhere. That's coming out. So that's you definitely lose something when you're not there in person. Like watching a concert movie or watching a live performance on television it's exciting if it's like your favorite performer or something you're interested in, but you can't replicate that sort of live experience. And I don't think being outside watching it on a drive-in with people several feet away, I don't know if that's really...
There's a reason why we go to live shows still.
Yeah.
And why we don't just watch everything on television. It's because we have it in our DNA, so to speak, that we enjoy that human connection by being in the same energy facility.
Yeah.
Either amongst other audience members or the performer themselves.
And it goes right back to the dawn of sort of civilized culture and like Greece or Rome. People going to see performances. It's just something that we've always done as a society, and maybe even before that, and we just don't
have any evidence
record of it. Yeah. So it's definitely something that's very primal, and we need to connect with somehow.
Yeah.
And it changes every generation. I mean, going to a concert currently looks different than what going to a concert would have looked like 50 or 60 years ago, but you're still getting the same out of it. Just there's just different technologies and styles involved and stuff like that. But yeah, that's really interesting. Like the idea, like the whole concert thing. I think the plants would be great. I think that I just imagine a bunch of like satisfied houseplants, like with opera singer t-shirts on from the merch stand, like shuffling their way out of the theater and just be having a real great time,
feeling really happy,
feeling complete,
like on a music high,
feeling like they've been pollinated with music.
Yeah. Kevin, what about headline number 2? French chef combats restaurant closure by creating gourmet food kit.
Well, that's an interesting idea. I like this.
Yeah, I mean, you want to up your game.
Yeah, go to the real deal, the gourmet. Because we've all been sort of, I mean, not we all have, but there's certainly food by mail kits. What do you call that stuff?
I would say it's a food kit. Yeah,
like HelloFresh or Blue Apron and things like that are very popular. Where you kind of are given instructions, you're given the ingredients needed to create something.
Yeah.
But the idea of taking that up another level with some kind of professional sort of chef involvement sounds pretty interesting. Yeah. I would be interested in something like that.
I know, me too. I mean, I don't know much about French cuisine, but this would be a great way to learn.
I don't either. I couldn't name one French dish, I don't think.
French onion soup.
There we go.
Escargot.
Okay. French dip.
Close. Yes. Yeah, that would be one.
Yeah.
French dip.
I feel like they use a lot of
fondue. That's the word I was looking for.
There we go. Nicely done.
Fondue.
I feel like French food involves a lot of like wine and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like chicken marsala. Is that like French maybe?
That sounds like it.
Sounds like it. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with French food per se.
French fries. That's a classic.
French fry. Oh, good old American classic right there.
French toast. We had that yesterday.
French toast. We did. Tiffany made some killer French toast yesterday, you guys. If you're in Buffalo, hit us up and we'll hook you up with some French toast.
I guess.
Not really. Please don't call us. We will not answer. That French toast is mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't really know a lot about French food.
We've tried like the meal kits before.
Yes.
And that seems pretty easy to follow along.
Yeah, we have. We've done some meal kitting stuff, but for us as non-meat eaters, we found some of the options to be limiting in what what was available, and a lot of the things that we made were certainly kind of more fancy variations of things that we've kind of already kind of created on our own. Mm-hmm. But they did give us a lot of great ideas for future meals, though. I think we got some good inspirations there.
Yeah,
and it's good. It's definitely good stuff. And I mean, especially if you're not one that is a good cook on your own, that's kind of a good way to
follow directions and figure out how to do it. Yeah.
And that's my problem, is the whole directions thing. For me, that's something I need help with in general. And your face says it all right now, because I know you agree wholeheartedly with that.
I do, but I was listening intently. Yeah.
Like we made the other week, we made some flatbreads for pizzas, and I did not listen to the recipe as well as I should have, and added way too much water. But Tiffany was able to salvage it. Mm-hmm. But things like that, you have to be very precise with cooking, and that's my downfall.
I'm good with simple math, and I feel like for me, cooking translates well with that. So, yeah. I was going to say, in regards to the food kits, like we would always find a way to Dylan them up by adding our own touches and adding our own things to it.
That is true. Yeah, because some of the meal kits we got were they're heavy, like they're meatless, but there was no like
protein
meat substitute involved. It was just all vegetables, so we had to kind of get creative with our own available resources and proteins. Yeah. Tofus and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Seitan's and what have yous.
We're pretty good about that, I think. I as a person myself, am someone who thinks outside the box. I'll follow the directions and I'll see what's going on, calculate it, and then probably add something on my own.
Yeah, you're not afraid to spice things up a little bit. Throw in your own twist.
Not at all.
That's why I married you. I wonder if this, what would be interesting too with this French chef? It would be interesting if they were to like maybe include, depending on the price, like would you pay a little bit more for something like this if it included like a little thumb drive of like a video of like how to prepare stuff?
Oh yeah, probably.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Especially if it was somebody sort of established, like somebody kind of, not necessarily like a celebrity, like a Guy Fieri, but maybe somebody.
Were you waiting for like a crowd cheer there?
I really was. Yeah. I was waiting for fireworks to go off. It is the 4th of July after all. Yeah, I would pay a little extra for that kind of tutelage. I
would think that it probably wouldn't be on a thumb drive. It would just be a website directing you to go to there with like a certain password of something as part of your membership.
Yeah.
To view and follow along, like your own private Julia Child.
Yes. For some reason, I thought you were going to say your own private Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Your own private Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Giving you cooking lessons as the professional she is. I think for us, I think maybe this meal kit, not only is this helping the restaurant owner salvage their business in a unique way, but it's also allowing consumers to be presented with more of a challenge than the traditional food kit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, and plus it gives you something to do too. Like you can't really, there's not much you can do for entertainment in some cases around the house. So cooking kind of becomes the process becomes part of the experience, right?
I think a lot of people have found that.
Yeah, we certainly have to some degree. We've always been good making stuff together, but yeah, we've definitely changed, upped our game a little bit over the last couple months. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think you're right. The restaurants are struggling. This is a great way to kind of recoup some of those revenues because, like the opera thing. When you go to a restaurant, do you want to be surrounded by people? I'd rather be surrounded by plants at this point. Still,
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I'm ready for someone to be a foot away from me eating food. Mm-mm. Even when we were when we were on our little vacation, we stopped in and grabbed a pizza from a pizza place there, and when I walked in, it was your traditional current setup with the plexiglass everywhere, and I got my pizza, and then instead of going, you weren't able to go out the door you came in, so they ushered you around the corner, and then you had to walk through a dining area where there were tables of people eating on either side of the aisle, like within feet of each other. I'm like, why would you want to do that right now?
Within 6 feet of each other?
They were definitely within 6 feet, for sure. Mm-hmm. It's like, have you guys watched the news? I mean, why would you do this?
To be fair, it's not as thick up there.
That's true.
Both with people and COVID. So
yeah,
it was probably not as risky up there, but obviously people are still taking similar precautions as they should be with, social distancing and stuff.
And I, of
also,
course...
go ahead.
I forgot my mask when I went to get the pizza, so I held my breath and I skipped my way through between the two groups of people. I wanted to get out there as quickly as possible.
Also, we were really excited to eat this pizza. So
yeah, that is also true. Mm-hmm. It's delicious pizza.
Yeah, I think this would be a really fun idea. I think maybe it wouldn't be something I subscribe to, but maybe it would be something that I would try maybe a couple of times just to maybe learn some new culinary skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
I enjoy cooking, but I also don't have the ability to quit my job and just go to culinary school. So,
right. Oh, wouldn't that be great though?
Quitting our jobs.
Yeah. I was focused on that first.
That's
half.
a daydream. A good one. I love it. Yeah, but I'm sure there's lots of other things out there. Something easy usually is fondue. I assume that's just melty cheese, right?
Yeah.
So, and then chocolate fondue, which we've done before, it's just melted chocolate.
A lot of melting of things. Is it fondue just melting stuff?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But there is a thing, right? There's a thing you dip, mm-hmm. A long toothpick,
sure.
A skewer.
Yeah.
I think with that stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm not sure how you fondue. How do you fondue? I'm all about melty cheese and melty chocolates.
Yeah. I know brie cheese is a specific type of French cheese. Mm-hmm. That's all I know. That's it.
And crumpets? Nope, those aren't French.
English.
Yep, never mind. I guess I really don't know anything French.
Babe, I think this is telling us that we should probably go to France, try a few baguettes.
There you go.
Maybe you just didn't enjoy French culture for a little bit. Enjoy the smell of some cigarettes around us.
Oh, that's a great smell.
And, yeah.
Oh, speaking of France, we were watching the new season of Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix.
Oh my God, you guys. I love it so much.
It's very good. You're going to enjoy it.
The little image of Robert Stack at the end of the intro is my favorite thing ever.
Yeah, it is really sweet.
He's great.
Very exciting. But each episode is one topic, which is a little bit different than the classic Unsolved. Mm-hmm. But there was an episode that takes place that's about a French family, and there's a lot of footage as they interview people in Versailles, I think they were in.
Yes.
And holy cow, what a beautiful place that is.
So now that's on our list of places we'd like to go.
Yeah, absolutely. We could definitely try some French cuisine while we're there, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. They probably have a Fridays there, or a
Fridays.
or Chili's, right? They got Chili's in Versailles.
Yep. Sure they do. Just in case.
I was listening to something, speaking of Fridays, I was listening to something this morning, and they were talking about how in I think it's in Tokyo maybe, or somewhere in a city in Japan, there's a TGI Fridays. They were talking about a TGI Fridays there, and it just blew my mind that people in other countries would also want to go to a place called TGI Fridays.
Well, don't they have McDonald's there too, right?
Yeah, I guess they do. I guess that kind of food just kind of translates. Yeah, it just seems so weird though. It's like it's not like the best food. But it's like you wouldn't think that like other countries would be clamoring for like a hamburger with an onion ring on top of it or whatever the hell Fridays does.
Maybe they feel that way about some of the sushi we eat. They're like, look at these dummies.
That's true. You're probably correct.
They're not even eating the fresh stuff straight from our coast.
Plus the idea, that's true too. Plus the idea of like a Fridays in a major city in another part of the world. It's like time. Like I just imagine like Times Square, and there's like a Fridays at Times Square. It's like when you're in Japan, you would want to go somewhere different maybe than a chain. I don't know, but I guess there's an appeal everywhere for that, I suppose. Yeah,
I suppose if there's always like that chance where there's a tourist there who's like, I need something that's kind of like home.
Yeah,
and so true. That's why people go to Olive Garden in Times Square.
That's true.
Because when you're there, you're family.
And I got family everywhere. Including right here in Manhattan.
Yeah. What a great Chicago accent, Kevin.
Thank you.
Kevin, headline number 3, nearsighted Grandpappy calls authorities upon seeing a crowd of faces in the sky.
This sounds like a man who is having an episode.
Okay, so you don't think there's any other possibility?
Nearsighted Grandpappy calls authorities when he sees faces in the sky.
Yeah.
Nearsighted. So nearsighted means you can see up close well, but not far away well?
Right.
Okay. So he looked up at the sky and saw a bunch of faces looking back at him. Well, I mean, what could that possibly be?
Maybe he saw something on his glasses. Maybe.
Oh yeah, maybe his glasses are. Maybe his glasses are made of silly putty, and they accidentally fell onto the Sunday Funnies.
And
then when he put them back on, he saw several small faces from the comics in his line of vision.
That's a strong possibility.
I think I solved this caper.
Wow. You did it. Why go any further?
Yep. All right. Well, the real story is
Grandpappy. So Sunday Funnies, that's got to be it.
Yeah, I think that's. I'd make a terrible detective, I think.
You don't know that. Examine the evidence. You did. Perfect.
And I came up with a crazy out of the blue. Like
blue sky.
Blue sky. Faces in the sky. I think I solved it.
Lucy.
Have you ever
hallucinated? No.
Yeah, me neither. I've always been too afraid to.
I've always wanted to.
Have you always wanted to?
No, I don't know.
I don't think I've ever really wanted to, but I was always afraid to do it.
You've always been afraid to hallucinate?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
What?
Haven't you?
Been afraid to hallucinate?
Yeah. Like if somebody was like, hey, want to try these mushrooms? They'll make you hallucinate. I would be terrified.
The hallucination doesn't terrify me. It's the drug itself that's scary to me.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'm also very much a person of logic and intellectual thinking, so I would probably have a hard time allowing my brain to be like, wow, I'm seeing shit that's not there.
Yeah, I'd be afraid of what I'd come up with sometimes too, I think.
I assume that's why I've never seen a ghost, except for that one time. And I've only heard them.
That could
maybe my brain just won't allow me to perceive that.
That's true. Maybe your brain would filter it out if it saw something. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, what else could it be? A series of faces in the sky. Could it be just like he couldn't see, and it was just like some of those airplanes going by with like banners on them or something like that?
Yeah, that could definitely be it. Maybe he was just trying to interpret what he was seeing, and that's what he saw.
Right. Why would you? I mean, if you were to see a series of faces in the sky, would you tell anybody about it, or would you just like?
It must have been concerning enough that he wanted to call and tell someone about it.
Yeah, so he called the authorities. So what do you call the police? And what do you tell them? You see a series of faces in the sky?
Or an invasion of something?
That could be too, an invasion. It could be an invasion of the faces.
Yeah.
A face-vasion.
A face-vasion, yeah.
Face-vasion.
That's it.
That old song by the Go-Go's, Face-Vasion. All I ever wanted.
All I ever wanted.
Yeah, I don't, or it could be or maybe birds. Could it be like birds? And maybe like the wing, the V, the like angry eyes looking at him?
Yeah, that could definitely be. Yeah. What if he thinks they're aliens or something?
That could be. I guess if you thought you were seeing aliens, you probably would call, but wouldn't you would, I guess you would think that someone else would see that too, but and they've already done so, but you never know. It's like when power goes out, you still call the power company, even though you assume everyone else is calling, because you never know. No one else everyone may just be assuming you're doing it.
Right,
and no one's doing it themselves.
Exactly. That happens a lot.
So if you see faces in the sky, I guess you would kind of call somewhere. Would you call 911?
I don't know.
What would I do if I saw faces in the sky? I'm trying to think of what I would do. I would definitely get my phone out and start recording right away.
Yeah.
And I would probably like fumble an old man it and like not record it. I'd take I'd have like a 5-minute selfie of myself on video.
Right.
Not the actual thing I wanted to record.
That makes sense.
Because that seems to be what happens nowadays.
What about kites? What if it's just like a bunch of kites? Like,
could be kites with faces on them.
Yeah.
Maybe kites with like emojis on them or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, police, there's a flying pile of poop with eyes coming at me.
Because people have been trying to do like different things for people's graduations or birthdays. So maybe this was a way to connect with someone, and he wasn't a part of it, but he just misinterpreted what he was seeing.
That could be. I was imagining, I just had the image of, you know how like I think it's in like in Asian countries, maybe. I feel like I've seen parades where there's like a dragon-y type thing that people are kind of operating it.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yep, I know exactly
like,
what you mean.
imagine seeing that and not expecting it and not knowing what that was.
Yeah.
And like if someone were to start doing that in your neighborhood and you're like nearsighted and you're like, oh my god, there's a dragon floating 5 feet off the ground running down the street right now.
Someone help. It's like when we were driving through rural Pennsylvania and you were driving and I looked off to the side and I didn't expect there to be a drive-in there, but I saw Kermit the Frog, so I for about 2 seconds had a moment of, what is that? And then I was like, oh, it's Kermit.
It's just Kermit.
That's
At least
not
it's
a giant screen.
Even like a giant Kermit is scary. It's like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It's still scary when it's giant.
No matter how innocent.
Yeah.
I thought of the most innocent thing. Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's when you're not expecting there to be something there. Yeah, I never thought about it. It could be like kites. It could be like kites with like a design on it that look like faces, maybe. Mm-hmm. Or it could be like a drone. Maybe some kind of drone with like a... Because I've seen footage of like drones that are made to look like... Like I remember seeing a drone that looked like a witch on a broom flying around.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. I mean, if you're not expecting that and
it's alarming.
That can be very alarming, you know, especially something like that. It's like a classic thing that's, you know,
meant to be scary. Yeah.
Meant to be scary than to actually see it outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess I never thought of it that way. It could be like kites or a drone or some kind of, like a flag of some kind, maybe. There's some kind of thing where people are waiting. Well, it was up in the sky though, so maybe it wouldn't be a flag per se, but something like a kite could be up there. Mm-hmm. Or people were like throwing like a giant beach ball up in the air with a face on it or something like that. You could be seeing that. You know? Or maybe it was Flaming Lips concert where all the band members were in those giant bubbles and they just happened to be
that makes sense
launched up into the sky.
That could be it.
It could be. You never know.
Yeah.
If you're not expecting it. I know we've talked about that before. Like your brain will kind of fill in and kind of create something that's not there. Sometimes it'll take the information that's there and then try to fill in the blanks for you. Like we've talked about seeing things out of the corner of our eyes and like the ludicrous things our brain thinks it is momentarily. Case in point, I'm going to bring it up again when you thought you saw someone in a marching band in the office one day.
Yeah. Or like if you're looking at like our shower in our apartment has tiles in it and they're not textured, but they're like kind of marbly looking. Like
a stone. It's like a stone situation.
Yeah. So it's easy to look at it. It's the same thing as when you're like staring up at the sky and looking into clouds. Like your brain can take these shapes and forms and then make a picture of what seems to logically make sense. So like in our shower tiles, like I can see like a gorilla face, but I can also see like a weird jester face in another spot, you know? So like your brain will make it see what makes sense.
Yeah, as long as you're not seeing a face and like the eyes are moving behind it like Scooby-Doo ghost picture style.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
As long as that's not happening in the shower.
Then all good.
And that's, speaking of ghosts though, that's a lot of times, like we're not ghost hunting experts by any chance, but we've certainly over the years have dabbled here and there. We've read a lot about stuff and we've watched a lot of things. But a common kind of thing that happens with ghosts, like people that think they've seen ghosts or have ghost pictures, I should say, is a lot of the pictures that we've seen that are supposedly pictures of ghosts, it's just like a blob. Like it could be like, it doesn't, if you go into it wanting it to be
that thing,
Uncle Gary that you think is haunting the house, then yes, then that blob is going to be Uncle Gary to you. But,
yeah.
But to us who have no vested interest, it's just nothing. It's just a nothing.
Exactly.
Your brain will kind of matrix in things together and kind of try to find a pattern where there's not one that exists, or try to find a familiarity in something that maybe isn't there.
Right.
Our brain wants to make sense of that, you know, and it will sometimes sort of betray us, you know, because you know, we similar to like witnesses, even something simple like that, like people that witness something happening. Everybody has a different could have a different story, and
our brains pick up different points of information.
Like one event happened, one specific thing happened, but 20 people that observed it will all have a different recollection of what the person looked like, or what they were wearing, etc. And that's just something that's just how our brains are.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not dumb people that didn't remember what the person looked like.
It's not like they didn't all see the same thing. It's just how their brains interpreted it.
How the brains interpret it. And my brain interprets it as a plant. It was a plant that did it. Yeah.
The whole time.
The whole time.
Yeah.
It was a plant ghost.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, one of these headlines is real.
Well, that's crazy because these are all wacky. So we have Barcelona opera. We have the French chef. And we have the guy seeing faces in the sky.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to guess the French chef is the real story.
That is a fake headline.
Okay. How about the opera?
That is a real headline.
I love it. Tell me more about the plants. This is fantastic. I love this idea. I was kind of hoping it was the guy, the last story that was real, because I wanted to hear what this was. With the faces in the sky.
Okay, so this comes from NPR, and it's Barcelona Opera reopens with an audience of plants. You want to see the picture?
Oh my God, that is a lot of plants.
I know.
That's way more than I imagined.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's an actual audience of plants.
Wow.
This looks like a very beautiful theater, by the way.
It really does.
In Barcelona, which would be a really cool place to visit, I'm sure. When Barcelona's Liceu Opera opened for its first concert since mid-March, it did so with a full house of plants. The Grand Teatre del Liceu filled its 2,292 seats with plants for a performance by the Ukulele Quartet, which it called a prelude to its 2020-2021 season. The string quartet serenaded its leafy audience with Giacomo Puccini's Crisantemi in a performance that was also made available to its human listeners via live stream. After a strange, painful period, the creator, the Liceu's artistic director and curator, Blanca de la Torre, offer us a different perspective for our return to activity, a perspective that brings us closer to something as essential as our relationship with nature. The plants came from local nurseries and will be donated along with a certificate from the artist to 2,292 healthcare professionals, specifically the Hospital Clinic of Barcelona.
Oh, that's really nice.
Organizers wrote that they wanted to recognize the work of healthcare providers who have served on the toughest front in a battle of unprecedented for our generations.
You know, I think we forget about this. Like we hear in the United States, there is a lot of sort of unrest where people are like, we got to get back out there and I'm not wearing a mask and I got to get. We forget that this is the global pandemic. It's not just affecting us here in Buffalo, but people in Barcelona and the healthcare workers that
worldwide
have worked around the clock to care for people. And it's just like we forget the gravity of it sometimes. I feel like we feel like it's just like this thing that's happening in our state or in our city. It's happening every corner of the world, in Barcelona, in Baghdad, in Sydney, I mean, Tokyo, every place has had to deal with this, and every place had to do some kind of lockdown because we just did not have the medicine to cure it. And we still don't. Yeah. We have no way to fight it except to hide. Yeah. Which is what I've done with my feelings my entire life. Take it from me, it works.
I think that we could definitely relate to how it felt to be like when we were with my dad. He lives in a pretty rural place. It's very country, and very isolated from any other person. And while we were there, it was easy to forget about what was going on in the rest of the world. Yeah. And it was really nice to reconnect with nature and just feel that serenity, I guess, that we haven't been able to experience in a while. Yeah. And so I can definitely see how even in this sort of experience where they decided to play to plants, how that can really play an important role to us as humans in terms of our relationship with nature and Mother Earth.
Again. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Spain ended its national state of emergency on Sunday, so that was a couple weeks ago, lifting a lockdown that had been in place for 3 months. According to the country's phased-in reopening plan, establishments such as theaters and cinemas can operate with capacity restrictions. The venue's statement addressed this gradual return to a new normal. The LCU welcomes and leads a highly symbolic act that defends the value of art, music, and nature as a letter of introduction to our return to activity, it read.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I feel like for myself, like you just kind of forget about the grand scale of all of this and just how it's just you forget, and like you lose, like you said, you lose touch with even nature. Just being like, I was never an outdoorsman. I grew up indoors. I never went outside. Right. But just being out in the woods and fishing and being in a boat along the creek, it was just like heavenly to be outside because it was just, oh, this is so nice.
Yeah. We haven't been able to experience that without a feeling of stress.
Yes.
In several months, because every time we go outside, like even if we go for a walk around our neighborhood, we have to be on high alert for other people because we have to constantly like cross the street or make sure that we walk into the street.
In the street, yeah, right.
Just to avoid being close to people, and that's such a challenge. That's a huge challenge.
It really is. Not that we want to be near people. Don't get us wrong.
Yeah, get away from us.
Ugh,
gross.
Grodies. You grodies. But yeah, like looking a block ahead and seeing a couple. Okay, well, this couple's coming towards us. Well, all right, well, we'll be the ones that step into the road. They look older. They're more of like a respect thing for us. We are always like, yeah, they're older. We'll go into the road. If someone looks younger than us, I expect them to step into the road. I don't know why that is. Yeah. That's the COVID hierarchy of walking that I have in my head.
And for us, I'm sure there are other people who have different experiences, but for us, this is the first time where we've had to go walk outside and have like an even more heightened experience of being on edge or like constant flight or fight mode of what our bodies are naturally attuned to do to protect ourselves. And that includes like going to the grocery store, where you have to constantly like be kind of even more aware of what's going on around you. At least you should be. And if you're not, you're doing something very wrong.
Yeah. And I think most people have not been aware of their of themselves or the surroundings for a long time when you go to the grocery store. And so now it's even worse when you're kind of trying to avoid contact with people.
Yeah. So sometimes it's just like, it feels exhausting. I don't know how to explain it. And just like, you're just like constantly exhausted when you go out into public. And so that time that we were able to spend in nature was a much needed relief.
It really was.
Yeah.
I really want to just get in the car and drive back there right now.
Also, I miss my dad.
Oh, me too.
Okay.
All right. Well, folks, we'll be right back after these messages.
Boy, am I parched. But do I want coffee or soda?
Why not have both?
What? Who are you?
Don't worry about me. I'm here to tell you that with Marcola coffee syrup, you can have both.
What? Well, tell me how.
Well, for example, Marcola coffee soda is made with Marcola coffee syrup, sparkling water, and a twist of lemon.
Wow, that sounds like a real flavor journey.
It is. Go to drinkmarcolacoffee.com for this recipe and more.
Wow, thanks, random guy.
Everybody loves the coffee soda. Everybody loves to drink Marcola.
Fake Headlines Podcast is sponsored by Kitty Box Press. Kitty Box Press is an independently owned print shop located in Rochester, New York. Each piece is handcrafted using only eco-friendly materials, resulting in a beautiful artisan work. With no minimum orders, no setup fee, and made with lots of love, Kitty Box Press wants to be your go-to screen printer.
Kitty Box Press can print just about anything from t-shirts to totes to posters and invitations. Follow Kitty Box Press on Instagram and Facebook, and don't forget to visit them at kittyboxpress.com for more information.
Thanks, Kitty Box Press.
Thank you.
Okay, Kevin, hit me with your 3 headlines.
All right, Tiff, here we go. Headline number 1, drive-through haunted house leads to drive-through demolition derby. Drive-through haunted house leads to drive-through demolition derby.
Okay.
Headline number 2, several arrested when illegal fireworks show knocks out neighborhood internet. Several arrested when illegal fireworks show knocks out neighborhood internet.
Okay.
And headline number 3, pair hired for man's sexual fantasy turn up in bedroom at wrong address with machetes. Pair hired for man's sexual fantasy turn up in a bedroom at a wrong address with machetes.
Well, that explains your giggling before you read these.
Yep. Sorry, Dad. Sorry, Mom. Our parents listen to the show.
Yep. Wrong address. I forgot what I was writing. I got so distracted.
I know.
And machetes. Oh, boy.
I've been struggling with these headlines all evening, up until this moment.
All right.
Like, I'm worried about Dad or Mom hearing this, but not, like, millions of strangers.
Yeah, because we don't have to impress them.
That's true. Well, we kind of have to impress everybody.
Shut up, Kevin. You're making it worse.
God, I'm in my head now. God dang. Oh, son of a gun. Well,
Please like us.
Well, let's start with the easier one.
Parents love us. We need your approval a lot of times.
I need everyone's approval. That's why I'm on Facebook.
Okay, so drive-through haunted house turns into a demolition derby.
Demolition derby, yeah.
Okay.
So what do you think happened there? Eesh.
I think someone needed a career change, and they were like, you know what? I'm tired of jumping out of this bale of hay. I'm ready to take it up to the next level and ride out on a car.
That's the natural escalation of such an employee.
Yeah, I think so. Seasonal work, man. You know what I mean? Like a haunted house. You could do it year round, but is the interest really there? I don't know.
Right.
Probably not.
It probably depends on where you're at, right? Like if you were in like Salem, Massachusetts, maybe you could have a year-round haunted house.
Yeah.
Or Clifton Hill in Niagara Falls, Canada. I think there's a haunted house there that's year-round, isn't it? Maybe,
is it? I don't know.
Maybe it's not. But yeah, there's only a tiny little window of time, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're specifically talking about the house or the Museum of Wax, the Louis Tussauds.
Louis Tussauds.
Louis Tussauds museum, wax museum.
Yeah.
Then that's a year-round horror show.
That is a year-round horror show.
That's terrifying. That place is haunted AF.
Yeah,
it is so creepy in there.
If you go back to January of 2019, in our Fake Headlines archives, there was an episode where we discuss our trip to a very terrible wax museum in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, where the celebrities they weren't quite there. They weren't
They're like
quite
the
right.
Leftovers, yeah.
Yeah. It's like
it's Louis Tussauds.
It's like every male celebrity looked the same, every female celebrity looked the same, just some different wigs on them. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. We had a great time. But
it's
it did
very
feel
creepy in there.
It did feel very haunted. Like Tiffany and I were the only ones in there, probably because everyone else knew how terrible it was. But it did feel super spooky in there.
To be fair, it was like 20 below in Niagara Falls, Canada.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Not a lot of tourists.
Yeah, it was like ice. Like the hotel we stayed at right next to the falls. They had a warning that they're like, your car is going to just get covered in ice if you park here. And
just so you know.
Sure enough, it did.
They were right.
It was just encased in ice,
yeah.
all the vehicles that were there. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So go back and check out that episode as well.
So there's so this demolition derby is going to turn in from a haunted house.
Yeah, so I think what happens is maybe people were like panicking and because maybe it was too much and cars were colliding into one another.
Maybe this was a socially distant turn of events where it was the best way that they could take what they had and turn it into something different, but works with the new social norms for the time being.
Well, that is true. I mean, because we've in the years past have gone on haunted hayrides, so I'm assuming this coming fall we're not going to be ready to sit on a wagon with strangers yet, and we'll probably be driving through these kinds of things.
Right.
But what if all of a sudden there's a big car pile up that you're involved in? That would not be good.
No, it wouldn't.
Because I could see myself getting so terrified I would like throw it in reverse and peel out of there and then crash into someone, and then that causes another car to crash into someone. Next thing you know.
I think you're discouraging the haunted hayride car drive-through for this fall. So guess what? That's not going to happen now. So I think you've explained all the bad things that could happen.
Good.
Also, I think you've also explained how this turned into a demolition derby. They tried it. It didn't work. Now it's a demolition derby.
Exactly.
And there are people along the sides, usually people dressed up as ghouls, cheering you on, like, yeah.
Right. Spinning chains around, I think, or
is that what they do?
I don't know. I feel like people that go to a demolition derby are like waving baseball bats and chains and like just the real. I
just imagine like all of those animated crowds that you see in wrestling video games. That's what I just imagine.
Someone standing up and sitting down.
Yeah.
Like one arm motion.
There's like one sign, but it's repeated throughout.
I spent a lot of time with those audience members. Trust me, I'd rather have seen plants.
Oh, man.
Have you ever been to a demolition derby before?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
No. Not really anyone in my family had an interest in that, I don't think. My cousin was a race car driver, but I never saw him race.
No. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to a demolition derby. Well, no, I think we did. I think at our, we would have the 4-H group in our little town would hold a fair every year. That was the 4-H fair. Mm-hmm. Where they would bring in like you bring in the tilt-a-whirl and the thing,
all the rides and everything.
The rides and all that, the games. Ferris wheel, yeah, and the food and all that. So I'm guessing that's like a traveling thing that you hire to come in to the town for the day. I don't know how fairs work, but I believe one of the entertainment events there one year was a demolition derby that we watched.
Oh wow!
So it's just like a bunch of old beat up cars, and you just
they pretty much paint them up like what you would for like a race, but they're meant to get crashed into.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
It's
Mad
kind of like
Max, Fury Road.
mixed with bumper cars, but without the protective bumpers.
Right. If I was in a demolition derby, I would be in the beat up car just spinning around in the corner, missing out on everything.
Yeah.
That was always the bumper car I ended up in.
Aw. That doesn't sound so bad.
You know, when I worked at Darien Lake Theme Park back in the early 90s, we worked...
Hey guys, it's time for Kevin's Darien Lake story time.
I worked my first summer there was in the area that had amusement park rides for children, and one of them was bumper cars for kids. Mm-hmm. But that didn't stop us grown people from sitting on them and driving them around, to the point where we would break them because they weren't meant to carry teenage bodies in, only children. Weight. So there would always be like a half dozen broken down cars in the corner, and we would always get reprimanded to stop riding the bumper cars.
Yeah, you freaking monsters. They're for kids.
It was too fun. You can't stop us.
Why teach kids to crash into each other? Like, why was that a ride idea?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, their only experience with driving before they have to like actually start driving is crashing. Right. Like, well, how about they should have like a safe driving thing for kids to teach them. It's called driver's ed. It's a game. You sit on the bumper cars on a track. You have to stop, look both ways, use your hand signals.
Hey kids, line up for driver's ed. New at the theme park.
First, you gotta stand in line and get your picture taken and fill out this application for a license.
Brought to you by Progressive. You know, like that commercial. Progressive theme park. Save 10% on your car insurance. They do not sponsor us in any sort of way.
Yes. The views expressed on Fake Headlines Podcast do not represent those of the Progressive Insurance Corporation.
Although if they would like to give us money, that would be cool too.
Yeah, we are shameless. We'll take your money.
We save money with Limu Emu and Duck. Yeah, that I loved bumper cars when I was a kid, though. I thought that was so fun. They loved
were fun.
it.
They were very fun.
Yeah. The little kid versions or the ones made for people your size?
The adult ones were fun. I love the smell of the bumper cars. That smell of like the burning electricity. I don't know what it is. Rubber burning.
I love the smell of that rubber.
It was like the smell. Did you ever have like a, well, probably not, but maybe as a child you were around this and maybe you did have this, the little car you'd put on the racetrack and it would like, you'd press the thing and it would run on like some kind of electricity of some kind.
Yeah.
You remember that like smell?
Yeah.
It was like that.
Okay.
That smell in the air.
Okay.
I remember that being like around bumper cars. I like the idea of, this idea of like a haunted house, since you can't kind of walk through, you drive through. Mm-hmm. I wonder if there's other like kind of drive through like entertainment that's available, like maybe like a drive through like museum or something like that. Would you do something like that?
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool.
Would. Yeah,
I guess it could be well, I guess it would have to be outdoors. It couldn't be indoors.
Well, I mean,
with exhaust and stuff.
We've done similar things with like at Christmas time with the lights.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Festival of Lights. There's that one near Syracuse that you drive through and you see all the lights and stuff, and that's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
I don't feel like I'm losing out on anything by having to drive through it in the car. It's still really amazing and really fun to see. And
that's going to be a big thing this year, I bet, stuff like that, because we're not going to be able to get like a walk around maybe as much and get a kind of a Christmassy feel. It might not be comfortable for people to be doing that.
Right.
But drive-through displays like that, I bet you're going to be something we're going to see a lot more of this year. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of cool. That was a wonderful, I would recommend if you have something like that near you, never been to it, a drive-through Christmas light display. 5 stars.
Whether you celebrate Christmas or not, it's a fun experience to see. Like it, there's just like our tiny little brains are just like, wow, lights! Look at those, so bright, fun.
Exactly.
You know,
I've never felt more like a moth in all my life.
I can't stop staring at it. It's so pretty.
I must fly closer. I must touch it.
Yeah. All right, Kevin. So headline number 2, several. Speaking of bright lights that are very exciting, several people are arrested after illegal fireworks result in internet outages.
Knocking out the internet, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you gotta be careful when you're firing off stuff. You don't want to knock out power lines and cables and whatnot.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Especially nowadays when the internet is everything.
The most important thing in anything right now, yeah.
It really is.
I have no desire to ever set off fireworks by myself. I'll just let someone else do it.
Yeah.
I'd rather just sit back and watch.
Me too. Like we, growing like many years ago, before we met, a group of friends would have a party every 4th of July, and they would really go all out with fireworks. And at the time, fireworks were illegal in New York State, so we would someone would travel to Pennsylvania to pick them up, and I was always way too terrified to even go near where they were being launched, as you can imagine. Mm-hmm. I was like, I would like cower behind a child to protect me from the fireworks.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with them.
Yeah. And that kid was like, "Get off me, you dummy."
Who are you Get off me, mister. You big scared loser. Oh,
go stand over by that tiny tree, why don't you?
Your put downs are so scarily accurate. It hurts. It really cuts deep, sir. Yeah, I don't. I was always way too scared I never want to light off fireworks. No thanks. Even sparklers, I get a little nervous about.
Oh, those don't bother me. I love sparklers. Those are fun. I mean, it sucks when your hands get burned a little bit, but super fun.
Yeah. I remember as a kid, my dad, we had some kind of firework display. We all sat on that concrete patio behind my mom's house. Mm-hmm. We all sat there, and my dad was launching fireworks, like maybe like mid-yard. He had like a table set up. This was when I was very, very little. And I remember he had like something like landed on, like a piece of like debris landed on. I remember like,
oh my gosh,
having like a flaming shoulder for a second and being like, it was. So I always had that image in my head too. So you know how images scar you as a child. That's one of them. Mm-hmm. Also, my dad fixing a ceiling fan, and he didn't turn off the breaker. And I remember looking into the kitchen and seeing it just rained like sparks, like a waterfall.
Oh my gosh.
On top of him, and I'll never forget that. So I've always been very leery of doing any sort of electrical work.
Always proceed with caution and make sure everything is off before doing electrical work.
Yes.
I think that's a lesson to take away from
that. Absolutely is.
Don't be scared, but just proceed with caution.
Or have a professional do it.
Yeah.
I think is the main thing.
Yeah. Dig deep into that wallet, make someone else electrocute themselves in your home. That way you're not liable.
I like that. That's right? A great outlook. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. But so I'm no thanks. I like watching fireworks, but which is so stupid. They're just we're such dummies when it comes to that. Like we're just entertained by
explosions in the sky.
Yeah, like we
Fun.
have the internet. We have access to any movie or television show ever created. We could read any great piece of literature. We could watch a play. There's so many things we could do to entertain ourselves. We could create. We could paint. We could do things on our own. Mm-hmm. But we'd rather just stare at the sky and we ooh and ah all in unison. We all become silly children. It's
even better enhanced when there's music corresponding with the explosions.
Absolutely, like a good choreographed display.
Yeah,
like when we went to that baseball game a couple years ago, we saw fireworks afterwards. It was all like America songs, like the Hulk Hogan theme, just all the greats.
But you can't help but stop and stare at things that you maybe are a little bit more unusual than what you expect to see. So like let me explain. So like the fountains at the Bellagio in Las Vegas, it's hard not to stop and stare at that. There's a reason why that's a production, because it's really pretty. It's like, like some sort of water dancing, choreographed to this music. And maybe fireworks are kind of the same thing, where it's like this, this untouchable thing that you can't control with your hands, but you can only stare at in wonderment.
Yeah.
Sometimes accompanied by music.
I think you're right. It is kind of like a pretty intense sort of audio-visual experience. I remember when back in the 90s as well. I remember going to Niagara Falls with my family, and we sat on the American side of the falls, and they had a fireworks display on the 4th over the falls, and that was beautiful.
Oh, wow, that's neat.
With the kind of juxtaposition of the falls right there, and the fireworks and the mist and the lights. It was just very beautiful. I remember that. I still remember that very clearly.
Being so close to Niagara Falls is one of my favorite things about living in Western New York.
Yeah, it really is. Like, we
it's so cool.
Spend so much time living here, obviously, but we don't always get a chance to get over there. But when we do, it's
really neat.
Really magnificent.
It's beautiful.
It truly is.
That's just a sidebar.
Yeah. Visit NiagaraFalls.org for more information.
Either go to the Canadian side or the American side. Doesn't matter. It's still pretty.
Yeah.
Still really amazing.
I'm looking forward to going back to the Canadian side once we're able to travel again over there.
I got to get a new passport. It expires this month.
Oh, shit. Yeah, me too. Man, unreal.
With my new last name. Yay!
Yay!
So these Dum Dums set off these illegal fireworks and then caused a whole problem for everyone else.
That sucks.
See, that's why you need to be doing this responsibly.
Yeah. And maybe not every night like it's been happening all over the world for the last 2 months.
Yeah, what's the deal? What's the deal?
What's the deal with fireworks?
Jerry?
I think people are just bored being inside maybe, and they need to blow up stuff.
Cool. That's fun.
Well, not everybody. It's just dudes. Dumb dudes.
Think outside the box, Dum Dums.
Yeah.
That's my favorite insult right now.
Dum Dums.
Yeah.
So scathing.
You're a sucker that dissipates quickly. Take
that. You're a sucker that dissipates quickly. That is a damning insult. I love it. You're so cute. You're the worst kind of sucker. You don't even have a Tootsie Roll in the middle, you loser. Or gum.
Sometimes there's a mystery flavor and it tastes like pineapple. Ooh. So there were several people arrested. So that must is it all in the same household? Is it neighborhood kids? Is it like dads who were just like, I'm bored, me too, let's go do this? Okay.
I imagine it's some unruly teens.
That's how dads talk.
Yeah, they do talk like that.
Dumb dads.
Dumb dad, not Dum Dums.
Not Dum Dums, but Dum dads.
Do you think it's like people were like, so it said that, what was let me get the wording again here. Several arrested when illegal fireworks show knocks out neighborhood internet. Now, do you think it was several people because people all like took to the streets and started fighting because there was no internet? People were mad at the people that
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, that's another.
My brain was the fireworks were illegal, so therefore those responsible for the illegal fireworks were the ones arrested. But it would make sense that cause and effect. So the people who caused the issue would get in a fight with the people who were affected. Yeah,
like if I knew for sure that somebody knocked out my internet, I would march out in front of their house and start yelling.
Hey, you internet ruiner.
Hey, you internet dum-dum. You're fake pineapple to me, mister.
You're just a banan. That's right, banan.
Yeah.
Not even banana, because you're fake.
Damn. What's it like to be fake flavor, jerk?
Wow, our insults are a fire, you guys.
We are terrible at this.
We're full of it.
We are not good at insults.
I think that I would be pretty mad if the stupid, idiotic actions of someone else caused something to happen that was unnecessary. Yeah,
I don't think I would march in the street about it and like yell or throw something at their house if I saw the fireworks coming from there.
I wouldn't get myself arrested, that's for sure. Not over something like that.
I would probably call the police, let them know what I saw.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't get involved. I'm not someone that gets involved.
Nah.
I'm very passive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just let it. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I guess I wasn't supposed to be on the internet tonight.
Okay.
That's not true. Give me that internet now.
Kevin needs his internet.
I do.
Luckily, I mean, people would be really mad about this if they weren't on like a data plan of some sort, or if their computers needed it for work.
Right.
In which case, people would be like, yeah, no, I have to take myself no work today.
I know.
From home.
There's been people that since we've been working from home, or they've had like internet problems, and they've had to like have the cable company come over and stuff like that. When I hear those stories, I get a little jealous. I'm like, oh man, why can't that happen to me for the afternoon? But then it's like, yeah, but then you'd be without the internet for the whole afternoon. Like,
but then you have to use PTO, which is really, really important.
That's true. That is the caveat to that. Exactly. I would much rather use that on my own time.
So you're saying that you think it's a group of people who were arrested that were not necessarily directly involved in the illegal fireworks, but were crowds of people who maybe...
I think a neighborhood spat started.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Maybe
that would make sense.
Either they congregated at the person's house, so people just started kind of... they may not have been fighting the people that own the place that did it, but maybe in the vicinity, just things started heating up and escalating maybe from there. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
To do that.
But like I said, I would just I would watch out the window.
Yeah.
And not actively partake in said fighting.
Yeah. That's for the best, though.
Yeah, I think it's safe. Safety first. That's what I say.
Mm-hmm. That is what you say.
I'm always saying that.
Yeah, always. Wow. Let's move on to a less safe situation, which is this pair that was hired for a man's fantasy.
They ended up at the wrong address.
Went to the wrong address, and they had machetes.
Awkward.
That's the definition of awkward, isn't it?
No, if someone hires you to do anything, especially if it involves something of a sexual nature, a taboo situation involving machetes and whatnot, you really got to double check the address. I think that's very important.
Yeah, you don't want to confuse the 6 or the 9.
Right.
In the address, you know?
Especially once you get there.
Yeah, you want to make sure it's right every time.
Like, I can't imagine, like, going to the wrong place in such a taboo situation. One, I mean, for example, like, if I'm going to the dentist, I'm looking at Google Street Maps. I'm looking for the street view. Even though I've been there 20 times, I still want to know my surroundings and make sure I'm going to the right place.
Right.
So if you're getting hired to show up somewhere, man, I'd be checking that shit out constantly to make sure I was going to the right place.
Especially for something that may be quite surprising for someone to open the door to.
Right, right.
Do they show up in trench coats and just have, like, nothing underneath except for a
machete?
A well-sharpened machete?
Excuse me, sir. Is that a machete under your trench coat, or are you just happy to be here? Well, here's the thing, too. What if, in this scenario, the part of the said fantasy was for them to show up while you were already there, like a break-in type thing,
like a surprise
situation, and then you're in the wrong place.
Wow. How long do you go on before you realize it's all a mistake?
Right. Unless the person whose house it was, they were like, I was not expecting this, but I'm really into this. I'm just gonna let it go.
Do you think that would truly happen?
No,
probably not.
Probably not.
I bet they would figure it out once the person started calling 911 or whatever emergency number there's available to them.
Right. Or once they reached under their pillow and pulled out a pistol.
That could be it too, yeah. Nothing gets you moving faster than a little bang bang in your home. Like you just...
Nothing gets you moving faster than a little bang bang. That was actually the ad that the two guys were answering.
Yeah.
That got them there.
Yeah. Someone was... Yep. Wow. Pair hired for man's fantasy. So, it doesn't matter what the genders are. It's just a pair of people who show up
Right. Wrong place,
I
wrong
like
time.
to imagine like they're dressed like Carmen Sandiego for some reason. And they have these machetes, but like under their coats. Maybe one of them has one under their coat, and then the other one has it like in a satchel.
Okay.
For some reason. I don't know. What do you carry a
Like
machete in? Does it have a cover? I don't know.
Like a duffel bag, maybe? Just loose in a duffel bag?
You got to be careful when you reach in there, though. Like, what if you're like, man, I got to find my house keys. Damn it, I cut a finger off because of my machete again. Like, I can hear Ray Romano screaming that. Can't you?
I can. That's actually an exact quote from episode 4, season 8.
Of Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yes.
Ah!
Not another machete finger.
Ma, saw on my finger. I cut it off with a machete again.
You know how I keep my machetes in a duffel?
Oh, Ma. That's the best I can do for Ray Romano.
Me too. Yeah, I can't get past the address thing, because even if you worked for like a singing telegram company, because you're doing something that's gonna kind of embarrassing if you're at the wrong place, you'd want to make sure you're getting the digits right. Maybe,
remember when we stayed at an Airbnb in Arizona, and when we showed up, we weren't sure if it was the right house because we couldn't find the number. In a clear area. So maybe it was a little bit of guesswork involved. Maybe they were like, this is specifically the house. It matches the description given, but not necessarily the house number because we can't find it. So I guess this is the right one.
Yeah. It's like that's true. I forgot about that. When we stayed, we've only been in Airbnbs a couple of times. And the one time the person was like, yeah, the Google Maps won't get you to the place correctly. So here's this map and here's the thing. Look for this light dangling between the two signs and look for a radio tower. It was all these like landmarks. And by the time we got there, it was like, I have no freaking clue where to go.
I had a meltdown.
It was terrible. Not your meltdown. Your meltdown was completely understandable. But I mean, if your directions are that complicated for someone coming from out of state, like just rethink things.
Yeah.
Like that's not a good setup. That's not a good experience for anybody.
No.
So long story short, we disputed it and we stayed at a La Quinta that night.
The lesser La Quinta.
That's another episode. If you go back to October of this past year, we do a show live from our La Quinta hotel room in Albuquerque, New Mexico, across the highway from a La Quinta that looked 1,000 times better than the one we were staying in.
1,000 times better.
They had a restaurant attached to it.
It had all the lights.
It had lights.
It had all the lights lit up.
It had bedding. It was completely different over there.
But our La Quinta was fine. It's satisfactory. Yes. It was clean and
it was like $30.
We slept. Yeah. That was very important.
That's all that mattered, quite frankly. But you really got to be careful. And another thing too, not to get too gross, but to be someone who would require machetes involved, God, what happened to you, man? Like, is everything okay?
Yeah, not to shame anyone. Everyone is into their own thing, and that's terrific. But when such a danger is involved, so close to skin,
right?
Some of it is irreplaceable skin.
Yes, it is irreplaceable.
Either bunches or external organs.
Remember how Tiffany was talking about losing a finger by going in the bag with the machete?
Yeah, depending on how sharp that machete is, you don't know what you're going to lose. Like you may end up like your dog Rufus, not on purpose. Like you're going to be wearing a cone of shame for a different reason.
Right. If you're going to get neutered, leave it to a professional.
That's right. That's right. So again, not shaming anyone, but there's got to be something that happened to arrive at that.
Yeah. But what a terrible thing too to happen to the homeowner, that all of a sudden if you're either opening the door upon and seeing this crazy scene, or if it's a situation where they were like hired to like climb in through the bedroom window at 3 a.m. or something, and then to be the homeowner and to have this happen and all of a sudden be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. hopefully the pair who enter the home are not injured by the homeowner, because the
Right.
homeowner, of course, it can take it upon themselves to either reveal a weapon of their own choice, either maybe a gun or a baseball bat or even their own machete. You don't know
Right.
what kind of fight may occur.
Right, exactly.
And, then that puts the danger for the people who are for hire.
Right. And they want to know, they're probably there just for the simulated violence, not for a real confrontation.
That's right.
So yeah,
right.
it's you got to double check your address.
Double check your address. That's the moral of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't invert your numbers.
Don't invert your numbers. And when
or your privates.
Yes, because if you invert your numbers, you might invert your privates.
Inadvertently.
And if that's not an advertisement for safety, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Safety first.
Safety first. Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. What a fun headline to end on.
Yeah.
Kevin, one of these is real, my love.
Yeah, which one do you think is real, Tiff?
I'm going to go with the last one.
You think that one's real?
Yeah. It's so weird and out of the norm.
Well,
I also really want to hear more about what happened.
Yeah. Well, Tiffany, you are correct. That is the real headline.
Uh-huh.
I had a different real headline, but then I saw this one earlier and replaced it. Mm-hmm. And then I started thinking about how our parents can hear it. And then I got real shy and real weird about it all evening, thinking about it and debating whether or not to actually do it or not.
You know what? It's fine. Our parents have seen and heard weird things, I'm sure.
That is true. So this is a headline from Sky News. Pair hired for man's sexual fantasy turned up in bedroom at wrong address with machetes.
All right. Tell me more.
All right. After appearing in an unsuspecting resident's bedroom with knives at 6:15 a.m., the duo accepted their mistake, saying, "Sorry, mate."
That's so early.
I know.
Who's like, show up at my place early in the morning with knives?
Two men snuck into a bedroom with machetes after being hired to carry out a stranger's sexual fantasy of being tied up in his underwear and stroked with a broom, only to discover that they got the wrong address.
Imagine waking up to that. Hopefully no charges were pressed. Hopefully someone got pressed.
The only thing pressed were the pants. The pair from Sydney, Australia made their apologies and left the startled victim's bedside as soon as they realized their mistake. One of the men, Terrence Leroy, now has been acquitted of entering the home in July, intending to intimidate while armed with an offensive weapon, after the New South Wales District Court accepted his explanation. Conceding that facts in the case are unusual, Judge Sean Grant set out his reasons for the not guilty verdict, saying the evidence didn't suggest the men's actions were intentional. They carried the machetes either as a prop or something to use in the fantasy, he said. The fantasy was unscripted and there was discretion as to how it would be carried out. According to court documents, a man living in Western NSW near Griffith wanted a broom handle to be rubbed around his underwear. He was willing to pay $5,000 if it was really good, court documents stated.
I could see why this pair would enter a home. I'd enter a home for $5,000.
$5,000 to poke a stranger in the genitals with a broom handle? I mean, it's a living.
It's a living.
Police said the intended client had a history of proclivity by engaging in the services of people.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, whatever.
He had made arrangements with a man on Facebook for people to engage in the role play and sent his address before he later updated it after moving more than 30 miles away.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but...
Oh, that's why the address is wrong.
Yeah.
It's not like they just got the numbers wrong. It was like he had moved.
He moved, right.
Oh, man.
But the resident of the home where the men mistakenly turned up told police that when he noticed a light on in his lounge at around 6:15, he assumed it was his friend who visits daily to make coffee. After hearing a voice asking, "Is your name Kevin?" the man said he turned on a light to see two men he did not recognize standing next to his bed, both holding machetes.
Oh my God. That would cause me to release everything inside my body.
I know. I love this next part. A conversation then ensued in which the pair repeatedly sought to establish whether he was Kevin, each time being told no. At that point, eventually accepting the error, the duo then left by saying, "Sorry, mate," and then shook the resident's hand.
Wow.
The resident then called the police.
At least he wasn't awoken by a broomstick.
Right. Or tied up. Woke up tied up.
Yeah, because then it's like, it kind of borders like, a home invasion that includes sexual harassment of some sort, in which that could be a really traumatic experience for someone who is not a willing participant.
Right.
And I'm sure that would be traumatic on the other person's part, because they would be unintentionally causing trauma to someone else,
right?
Which is not their intent,
Right. They were there under the guise of an established contracted relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm really, really glad to hear that that was how it played out, and that neither party ended up traumatized in one way or another.
Yeah. The intended client called the men soon after to check on their whereabouts, at which point he realized his error. The two men and their driver eventually arrived at the correct address.
Good. Yes. Okay. Well, good.
Yeah, it's
I hope the correct client was able to maybe participate in the trial of the pair as a witness, to say, like, these people were meant to meet me at my new address.
Right.
I gave them the wrong address, so that they wouldn't be held reliable for any sort of criminal charges unintentionally.
Yeah, like back them up here. Yeah, 'cause it says police arrived at the property about an hour later and they arrested the two men. But then it says the judge said it had to be. It said that the judge pretty much said that they had to prove that there was a malicious intent involved, and there clearly was not, because of all the circumstances that came out and everything. Yeah, there was an agreement there for them to go and do this thing, and they certainly were not there to really do any harm. So I think it doesn't say how their sentencing happened, or what kind of the results were, but I don't think that they had the book thrown at them, so to speak, because of all of these outside factors to consider. What
an interesting circumstance. I bet that guy will never not lock his doors again.
Yeah, I know, really.
Because I assume those guys didn't just break in. Like, they must have, like...
Right.
been expected by someone.
Right. Well, then the guy that they did show up at, he usually has a friend come in the morning anyway to make coffee, so they must have the door was unlocked or whatever.
Yeah.
Ooh, but yeah, if you got some kind of weird kink going on and you're hiring people, make sure your
just double check that address. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Make sure all your mail's forwarded to the correct address.
Yeah. Wow. Well, wasn't that a fun one to end on, huh?
Boy. A real story to poke a broom at. No.
Great job, Kevin.
Hey, great job you, Tiff. That was fun times.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks for listening, everybody. If you want to check us out online in between shows, you can go to Fake Headlines Podcast on both Instagram and Facebook. And
you can also find us on Twitter at FakeheadPod.
You can also visit our website at fakeheadlinespodcast.com. And you can always email us at fakeheadlinespodcast@gmail.com. And thanks for listening, everybody, and we will see you next week. Bye.